When the soul is called to rise in a world that says, sit down, there stands a flame-armored saint, St. Joan of Arc, fearless and faithful. O St. Joan of Arc, daughter of courage, warrior of purity, you stood in the storm with fire in your heart and conviction in your soul. You were young, untrained, unheard. And yet you answered the call without hesitation. You faced voices of doubt, eyes that mocked, hands that pointed in judgment, but still you stood. We come to you now, not because we feel brave, but because we often feel small. Because the weight of fear, of rejection, of inner conflict feels too heavy to carry alone. You, who rode with trembling hands but unshaken purpose, stand beside us now. Let your fire kindle ours. When the world tries to silence our truth, remind us of your voice, clear, direct, unwavering. When others tell us to sit in safety, remind us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to let fear win. You were misunderstood, you were betrayed. You were condemned by those who should have lifted you. Yet you spoke no bitterness. You held your ground with honor and grace. St. Joan, teach us that strength is not loud, that faith does not always look like certainty, that obedience to the soul's calling is a victory, even when the world calls it defeat. When we feel unworthy of our purpose, speak into that doubt. When we are surrounded by noise and confusion, clear a path and walk it with us. You wore no crown, you asked for no throne, yet your name stands taller than kings, because you were true. True to what was placed in your heart, true to the mission, true to yourself. We pray now not for thrones, but for the fire of truth to burn brightly within us. Not for titles, but for the strength to keep going when no one claps. Intercede for the silenced, for the outcast, for the ones who feel they do not belong. Intercede for those who've been called but question if they are enough. Intercede for those who walk a lonely path because it is the right one. You stood in chains, but your soul was never bound. Even at the end you rose. A blaze of light, a flame of righteousness, a spirit too free for any cage to hold. St. Joan of Arc, let that same light fall upon us now. May we stand taller when the wind roars against us. May we speak truth even when our voice shakes. May we live not for applause, but for purpose. And when the road grows hard and the fire seems to fade, walk beside us, armored in your invisible grace. Whisper courage into our spirit. Remind us who we are, O brave soul, who led not just armies but hearts. Lead ours now. And let your legacy echo not in glory, but in every quiet act of strength that refuses to surrender. Amen.